The plot kicks off in the game Nine Worlds, where the big bad boss of Purgatory is hanging by a thread after wiping out a massive crowd of players on the battlefield. Suzumu Hoda realizes this is their 30-second rush, and he's the very last gamer still standing. Even running on fumes, our MC admits that this insane difficulty spike is exactly what you'd expect from a final challenge. Feeling cocky, he swears to take down the beast, hit level 100, and become the most overpowered warrior on the planet. With his eyes on the prize, he dashes at top speed toward the monster, looking to unlock his ultimate awakening. While winding up his strike, our guy focuses on changing his destiny and restoring honor to the Hoda family name. A brutal showdown kicks off the second his blade lands a clean hit on the colossal creature. Without missing a beat, Suzumu unleashes a devastating fiery slash to prove he's the undisputed top-tier player. The clash triggers a massive blast, and the system finally announces that the mighty dungeon boss has been defeated. Totally wiped out, he drops to his knees, celebrating the hard-earned victory and the awakening he wanted so badly. However, a sketchy silver-haired mage quietly sneaks up behind him, acting super sus. It's Akira, who sarcastically congratulates the MC on his stellar performance in the boss fight. Caught off guard, Suzumu asks if his buddy was just playing possum this whole time. The sorcerer scoffs, letting him know he's way too slow to catch on to what's really happening. In a flash, Akira fires off a heavy shadow spell, loudly claiming that all the sweet loot from this raid belongs to him. The blast mercilessly blasts right through Suzumu's avatar, shredding his defenses. Furious at the backstab, the MC yells, demanding to know what the heck this mage is playing at. Still in total denial, the warrior asks if they weren't supposed to be teammates. Akira bursts out laughing, asking if a total loser from the Hoda family actually thought they were on the same level. Hovering in the air with his dark magic, the traitor mocks him, asking how our hero plans to fight back when his HP is hitting 0. Coughing up damage from the hit, Suzumu vows he won't let it end like this. Fueled by pure rage, he promises to bounce back from the game over screen to get his payback and make the traitor regret everything. Akira just smirks, dropping the bomb that mercenaries he hired are already taking out the Hoda family in the real world. That harsh reality check completely paralyses the MC in sheer shock. Suddenly, the connection is cut, and the system forces the player to log out. Back in reality, a hitman in a suit points a piece at Suzuma's head, confirming he's the target. The kid is held down by his hair with 0 chance to fight back. Looking down, he spots his mom, who has already been taken from him, lying in a tragic scene. Agonized, he asks if Akira was the one who ordered this horrible act. The mercenary tells him to zip it and delivers the final shot. Suzumu curses the betrayal right before fading to black. While his screen goes dark, the guy realizes his fate was sealed a long time ago, and he was played like an absolute fiddle. He was so incredibly close to turning his life around and bringing back his ancestors' glory. He remembers his grandpa telling him to never tarnish the family's prestige, realizing way too late that he walked right into a trap. He recalls the rival Ryuzaki family seizing power and bitterly wishes for a do-over. Out of nowhere, Suzumu slams his fist on a desk, swearing to crush every single one of his enemies. He gets super confused, though, when he realizes he's sitting smack in the middle of a high school classroom. Staring at his own hands, he wonders how on earth this is possible, since he should have been flatlined back at his house. A bully walks up demanding his lunch money, and Suzumu recognizes Saburo Suzuki, his classic high school tormentor. The MC stays quiet, putting the pieces together that his family was always a walking target for everyone around them. Annoyed by the silent treatment, Saburo starts yelling, asking if he's really getting ignored by a wimp. Losing whatever little patience he had, the bully aggressively grabs our guy by the collar. Taking the golden opportunity, Suzumu delivers a brutal punch straight to the bully's face without a second thought. Right after the hit, he's shocked to realize his physical body actually remembers all his insane combat moves from the game. Even without his ultimate awakening, his strength and reflexes got a massive total upgrade. Hyped about this discovery, he realizes his past grind wasn't for nothing, and he's totally going to abuse this knowledge. Turns out Nine Worlds isn't just a video game, it's a divine system that straight up alters reality. Hitting level 100 grants the ultimate awakening, letting you bring virtual skills into the real world and become an absolute unit. That's exactly why thousands risk it all in dungeons, trying to completely overhaul their lives. Suzumu realizes he just scored a priceless second chance and wonders if his grandpa is looking out for him from the beyond. The brawl in the classroom draws a crowd, and other students start yelling, accusing him of being the bully. The teacher walks in and instantly orders the kid to follow him to the principal's office. Once there, the guy gives him a harsh lecture, demanding to know why he's causing such a ruckus. With total snark, the teacher asks if he still thinks he's the VIP young master of some big-shot clan. The kid glares at him coldly, remembering that this teacher turned a blind eye to the extortion but acted real fast the second he fought back. Suzumu easily pieces together that this hypocrite is totally on the rival Ryuzaki family's payroll. Back in the day, the Hoda and Ryuzaki families were the top dogs, locked in an endless turf war. That is, until a plane crash took out the Hoda leaders, instantly plunging the clan into rock-bottom poverty. The rival clan milked the tragedy to steal their turf, leaving the survivors totally isolated and out in the cold. Looking down his nose, the teacher warns the student that he isn't untouchable anymore and better learn his place. To top off the disrespect, the teacher calls him a hopeless loser with zero future. Refusing to take the disrespect, our guy grabs the teacher's shirt, shouting that his bloodline doesn't breed losers. The teacher totally panics, ordering him to let go or hell call security. Brushing it off, Suzumu says he knows all about the dirty Ryuzaki money and promises to get the guy's teaching license revoked if he pushes it. After shoving the old man back into his chair, he remembers that today is the official launch day of the game. He decides to head straight home to make his account, knowing this system is his one and only ticket to fix everything. Armed with his veteran memories, he is 100% sure he's going to break the game and leave everyone in the dust. Walking down the streets, he focuses on being the first to awaken, making sure his mom isn't taken from him again because he was too weak. Standing in front of his humble house, he decides to hide his username so he doesn't become a target right out of the gate. He opens the door with a heavy heart, vowing to protect his mom's life no matter what it takes. In the entryway, she greets him with a glowing smile while getting dinner ready. She warmly lets him know the food is done and tells him to come eat. Suzumu stays completely silent, getting super emotional seeing her alive and well after all that trauma. Noticing her son frozen in place, his mom walks over, worried that he might be hurt. At the dinner table, she tells him not to push himself too hard, joking around about whether he has a crush on some girl at school. Seeing her so chill and happy, the MC mentally promises he will never let her be put in harm's way again. Once the dishes are done, Suzumu realizes the game's launch is getting close and he needs to gear up ASAP. In his room with the VR headset, he notes it's a total dinosaur model, but remembers he saved up every penny of his allowance for it. Slipping the visor on, he promises himself that they're going to be an unstoppable duo again. Right after, the loading screen pops up, completely taking over the virtual space. A welcome message appears. However, rejecting the default option is actually the secret code to unlock a hardcore challenge. Knowing full well that standard classes just nerf your potential, he decides to ditch the vanilla route to chase absolute power. By hitting decline, the system boots up the purgatory trial, and our guy confidently states he's ready for whatever. Laser-focused on rewriting his fate, Suzumu vows to climb to the very top like a certified god of war. He gets beamed into a ruined wasteland, totally surrounded by scorching flames. The system prompts him to pick a starter weapon, and without blinking, he locks in a sword. Knowing the meta, he understands this choice will dictate his entire build going forward. To get the crazy power he wants, he figures wielding a blade is his only real play. He spawns the item in, and declares it's going to carry him all the way to the top of the leaderboards. The system registers his pick, custom forging a piece of gear tailored to his stats. Looking super smug, the kid recognizes the exact same fire blade he used in his past life post-awakening. Gripping the weapon tight, he promises to use this boost to completely steamroll the first challenge. The hidden purgatory trial kicks off, spawning a massive wave of monsters out of the fire. Wasting zero time, the creepy creatures blindly rush the player. The mobs look absolutely savage, ready to tear any intruder to pixels. Noticing their aggro, Suzumu cracks a joke about the situation, feeling bad for the monster's terrible RNG. He charges into the mob, landing pixel-perfect slashes, proving he's way more lethal than these basic zombies. Loving the chaos, he promises to farm every last one of them until he gets a flawless clear on the trial. Meanwhile, back at server HQ, a dev flags that a player just glitched into a secret tier. Panicking, the supervisor demands they track this user's coordinates right now. Techs scramble across their keyboards, trying to pinpoint where the login is coming from. But the operator drops the bad news. The location is totally encrypted because the guy is using a headset too ancient for their tracking grid. Furious, the boss orders them not to let some random nobody steal the spotlight using bargain bin hardware. He orders all the Pro-Tier Elite players to log in and hijack the challenge. An admin echoes the order to the strike team, making it crystal clear that flopping is not an option. Staring out the window, the director thinks about how even though they coded the game, they don't actually have total control over the lore. He knows this server is practically a living, breathing world, and their only shot at stopping a global meltdown. As for the mystery gamer, he hopes the kid puts up a good fight, considering the pain in this hidden trial feels way too real. Down in Purgatory, Suzumu just keeps spamming attacks, practically begging the mobs to put up a real fight. Staring down a giant, he calls these enemies total trash compared to the nightmares he fought in his past run. With insane reaction time, he parries the heavy hits using his blade. Surrounded by a sea of zombies, our warrior just keeps mowing down the horde while his completion bar hits 63%. Thinking that score is weak, he tells the system to keep feeding him mobs to farm. Spinning his sword, he tells the game to grab some popcorn and witness the birth of an absolute legend. Back in the gaming lab, one of the elite pros rips off his headset, screaming that he's getting roasted alive. Total chaos breaks out, with multiple agents rage quitting, completely overwhelmed by the intense virtual pain feedback. Seeing the massive fail rate, the lead researcher suggests nerfing the difficulty, since nobody even made it past 20%. The director shoots that down, saying it's impossible to tweak the code because the AI evolves on its own. Completely locked out of the controls, he sighs, hoping at least one person from the squad survives this nightmare. Checking the monitors, the techs realize the wipeout rate just benched almost their entire roster. The team lead crunches the numbers and spots a glitch. The survivor count doesn't match the drop-in data. An operator confirms that the unknown interloper is literally the only guy left in the lobby. Jaws drop as they watch this random dude hit 99% completion. Sweating bullets, the director tries to wrap his head around what kind of broken meta this kid is abusing. Inside the zone, Suzumu relentlessly pushes forward against a humanoid monster. Despite taking some chip damage, the MC smiles, feeling like the boss fight is finally getting good. Resting the sword on his shoulder, he sizes up the enemy, guessing this guy is the final raid boss of the tutorial. The monster struts up carrying an exact clone of his fire weapon, making the warrior compliment the stolen drip. In response, the beast shoots him a sinister glare, completely locked in on wiping the player out. Out of nowhere, the mob fires off a hyperfast green energy slash right at our guy. Using the iframes from his dodge, Suzumu gets ready to end the duel with a heavy finisher. The clash causes an absurdly huge explosion that lights up the entire fire area. The boss tanks the hit and instantly teleports right into the warrior's face. With god-tier reflexes, the kid brings up his heavy blade to parry the sneak attack. Feeling the insane knockback, he holds his ground and mocks the monster for trying to copy his flow. Using pure brute strength, the young gamer shoves the enemy back, sending sparks flying everywhere. After securing the W, the system hits Suzumu with a congratulations and starts rolling his exclusive hidden class. Bathed in some epic holy light, he unlocks the Supreme Swordsman title, a super rare class with completely busted passives. Checking his stat sheet, he's blown away. His starting buffs totally make his late-game build from his past life look like a joke. The warrior realizes this passive skill easily outclasses the advanced arts he grinded months to unlock before. Doing the math, he figures out that collecting the 9 divine swords will multiply his stats to a game-breaking level. Shook, he admits this loadout is the most overpowered thing he's ever seen. The game even hands him auto quests for class evolutions that nobody even knew were in the code. With laser focus, Suzumu sees a legit path to unlocking a never-before-seen final form. Feeling refreshed by the epic loot, he officially kicks off his family's redemption arc and plots his next move. Remembering the secret speedrun strats, he plans to hit the starter village to hijack an exclusive Dark Element divine sword. The catch, the NPC guarding this loot is a wildly overpowered boss who goes totally berserk mid-fight. Even knowing the massive risks, the warrior promises to play hyper-aggressively on this new account. He spawns at the city gates, swearing that everyone's playthrough is going to end differently this time. Strolling through the streets, he takes in the massive, nostalgic hub world with total hype. Stretching out, he celebrates being back in the exact lobby where his whole grind started. Domo Village is one of the game's 9 massive empires, chilling right on the kingdom's board. Taking in the sights, Suzumu feels the nostalgia hit, but decides to speedrun the starter NPCs first. Since his starter class is super flashy, he toggles his profile to private to avoid pulling any unwanted aggro from other players. The system confirms it's an open-world sandbox, easily hiding his ultra-rare tags. Glad to be off the radar, he figures he should keep his flashy combos to a minimum, so he doesn't end up on some highlight reel. Blending into the crowd, he remembers he needs to clear a hidden dungeon to grab that S-rank divine sword. But wait, he realizes he has to hit level 5 and grab a starter weapon from a trainer just to trigger the questline. He heads over to the swordsman trainer's dojo and gets ready to walk in. Pushing the door open, he gets a flashback to the insane amount of grinding he did in his past life just to make it to this room. Inside, he quietly checks out the massive sparring arena. Chilling on a bench is instructor Owen, who asks if the newbie is here to learn the absolute basics. Skipping the dialogue, Suzumu says yep and asks to skip straight to his first quest. Knowing these starter fetch quests are usually boring delivery jobs, he says it'll be a breeze since he already memorized the minimap. The big guy stands up, promising a shiny new weapon and a skill manual as the quest reward. Staring the kid down, the instructor drops the real challenge. Pulling out a massive broadsword, he says the test is literally just surviving his attacks for 30 seconds. Looking totally intimidating, he points the blade and tells the kid to log off if he can't handle the heat. Our MC is actually surprised, thinking surviving that long against a trainer is a hardcore requirement. He searches his memory banks and remembers this NPC's hidden lore. The guy is actually a top-tier retired general. The dude rage quit the military after having to take out his best friend from a rival faction. Suzumu estimates the veteran is sitting at around level 70, making this an absolutely absurd wall for a level 1. Catching him spacing out, the big guy barks, asking if the kid is getting cold feet. The guy equips his wooden training sword, while the instructor tells him the exit is right behind him. Refusing to back down, the warrior smirks, totally mocking the concept of fear. Hyped, he claims 30 seconds is light work and gets in a stance to test out his new busted stats. Locked in, he admits he's super curious about what kind of epic drop he'll get for winning this rigged fight. Getting into position, the instructor promises to nerf himself and fight like a level 10. Without warning, the veteran closes the gap instantly, telling the newbie to pop all his cooldowns if he wants to survive. With the boss right in his face, Suzumu braces for the impact of the first heavy swing. The blades clash, and the kid instantly realizes his low-level avatar cannot tank this kind of raw damage. Pushing his limits, he grits his teeth so he doesn't give up a single inch of ground. Actually impressed by the block, the instructor gives him props for parrying his heavy attack. Jumping back, the big guy says he wants to see how long the kid's stamina bar can hold out. A massive strike tags the MC, sliding him backward because the knockback physics are insane. The veteran's eyes widen seeing how fast the kid cancelled his hit stun. Right after, the guy unleashes an endless combo of heavy slashes, while our boy dodges and blocks like a pro. Ramping up the difficulty, the instructor fires off a massive shockwave just to see if the kid can roll through it. Sweating the high pressure, Suzumu realizes his rusty iron sword is going to snap in half if he keeps playing defense. Sparks fly from the impact, proving his durability gauge is practically in the red. Even with the massive handicap, he focuses his camera angle, spotting a tiny window to punish the attack. He perfectly ducks under the enemy's arm, exploiting the wide-open hitbox. Since the boss's move is super slow and meant for crowd control, he repositions right into the veteran's blind spot. But the guy pivots, complimenting his game sense, while warning that reading moves isn't enough to secure the win. Spinning his massive frame, the big guy tosses a wild reverse slash straight at our guy. Suzumu is shook, seeing that the NPC literally animation cancelled midair just to counter him. The edge of the blade passes millimeters from the kid's face, leaving him barely enough frames to react. Barely dodging the hit, he realizes this is the raw power of a technique leveled up in actual war zones. The swing misses and completely craters the floor, kicking up a massive dust cloud. The system suddenly pings, announcing the timer hit 0 and the 30 seconds are up. Panting hard, the MC kicks himself for messing up the final dodge, swearing hell flawless victory him next time. The instructor throws him a curveball, offering a hand up and officially declaring him the winner. Flashing a smile, the veteran gives him major props for surviving the timer. Taking the hand, the warrior gets up, shaking on it. Full of confidence, he warns that next time they duel, he'll win by completely draining the boss's health bar. The big guy says he's looking forward to it, and spawns a glowing loot scroll as the quest reward. He even tosses in a ranked iron sword as a bonus drop for the insane performance. Stoked, the kid says thanks while equipping his shiny new gear. Totally pumped, he figures he's finally geared up enough to speedrun the noob zone. As the young gamer logs out of the dojo, the instructor watches him, realizing the kid's potential is absolutely broken. Left alone, the veteran mutters to himself that he actually cheated and used level 20 stats on that last counter. Outside the building, Suzumu cracks open the scroll while the veteran's voice echoes in his head, admitting he went overboard. Skimming the tooltips, the MC instantly realizes what kind of jackpot he just rolled. He's floored to see the skill drop is an A-tier flame art, way better than the garbage E-tier standard reward. Brushing off the tough fight, he celebrates the loot, knowing his early game is already light years ahead of his previous playthrough. Glowing with a mystic aura, he books it toward the mob spawn to power level. All around him, casuals are getting absolutely folded by basic mobs, complaining about the game's ridiculous scaling. One kid is having a full-blown panic attack trying to peel an aggroed squirrel off his arm. Nearby, another guy is sprinting for his life, screaming about a killer rabbit chasing him down. With the servers fresh out of maintenance, the lobby is a total circus because nobody knows the meta yet. Ignoring the cringe, our MC figures that in a few days the hardcore players will drop a guide and fix this mess. A random noob yells at him to stick to farming tiny animals, calling him reckless for wandering off. The warrior says thanks for the tip, but mentions his farming route is way above their pay grade. His real targets are the fire boars deep in the forest. They hide a mini-boss and drop insane amounts of EXP. Locked in, he knows he has to farm the elite mobs to leave the tryhards in his dust. Map layout memorized, he hits the deepest part of the woods, calling it the perfect grinding spot. Crouched in the brush, Suzumu notes the fireboars have an insane aggro range and will swarm him if he just walks out. Proving his game knowledge, he spots the bushes shaking and preps for his first guest. A level 3 boar charges at top speed with pure rage in its eyes right at the warrior. Holding his ground, he draws his sword, knowing the mob is a tank but has a massive weak point. Playing smart, he aims for the unarmored spot's golden rule for punching above your weight class. With one crispy slash, he one-shots the beast, and the EXP pop-up fills his screen. Watching the polygon corpse despawn, he sees his EXP bar already jump to 50%. Hyped, he confirms that farming high-level mobs is the ultimate speed leveling strat. He does the quick math and realizes he just needs one more mob to ding level 2. The game hands him a freebie when a whole pack of adult boars spots him and charges out of pure aggro. Grinning, Suzumu gets into stance, joking that his EXP delivery just arrived with no shipping fee. To clear the wave faster, he decides to pop his new skill, igniting his blade with magic fire. The crazy visual effects actually impress the MC, who gives top ratings to the elemental damage buff. Buffed up, he doesn't even wait for them to close the gap and dashes right into the pack. With a massive sweeping motion, he throws his first fire slash to test the DPS output. The enchanted blade completely melts the boar's hitbox, sending blue particles everywhere. Keeping the combo going, he chain strikes through the rest of the mobs, clearing a path like it's nothing. The system spams multi-kill notifications, dumping a mountain of EXP onto our guy. Leveling up instantly, he cheers, bragging that this tutorial phase is a total joke compared to last time. But the sound effects draw more aggro and a brand new wave spawns in, rushing him like crazy. Not even sweating it, he taunts them, waving the mobs in for round 2. Seeing the massive cluster, he pops a fiery spin attack, promising to turn every single one of them into free stats. A few minutes later, the spawn zone is completely littered with the loot drops of wrecked mobs. Catching his breath, he checks his map, confirms the area is clear, and pings the next target, the boss. Right on cue, the colossal king boar spawns in, looking absolutely furious that his entire lobby got wiped. Staring down the giant, the kid gets hit with nostalgia, trying to remember what patch it was when he last farmed this guy. Keeping his cool, he admits this guy was a massive roadblock on his first account. With zero chill, the king boar triggers its roar animation and charges, using its massive hurtbox as a weapon. The warrior reads the attack frame, knowing this boss's stats are a total nightmare for casuals. Since he can't tank the hit, his strat is to rely on iframe dodges instead of blocking. As the beast whiffs the charge, he cues up his heavy finisher with a nasty smirk. Punishing the endless end lag, he slides under the boss and throws an uppercut slash with everything he's got. The glowing blade connects perfectly with the weak spot, catching the boss completely off guard. During the hit stop, he reveals that this boss's biggest critical zone is literally right inside its massive open mouth. The crit multiplier is so insane that it practically deletes the creature's health bar in one go. With the boss defeated, the system rains rewards on the player, power leveling him straight to level 5. Looking at his level, he pumps his fist, officially meeting the level requirement for the hidden Pandora dungeon. Right before fast traveling out, he spots 2 glowing gold orbs dropping from the boss's despawning model. Wondering what kind of RNG he just hit, he taps the items to appraise the rare loot. The drop table reveal has the kid totally hyped, proving the extra grind was 100% worth it. He scored an inventory expansion ring and fire-resist armor, basically the ultimate starter pack for this zone. Reading the stats, he knows this gear is going to completely break the early game balance. He auto-equips the magic ring immediately, celebrating his god-tier RNG and the extra bag space. Remembering his main quest, he crouches by the boss's model, recalling he needs a super-specific crafting material. Using his sword, he harvests the beast's rib bone, declaring it the exact item needed to trigger the event. Stashing the clean bone, he checks off this phase of his speedrun. Putting his gear away, he gets mentally ready to unlock the legendary Pandora's Labyrinth. He stops, remembering he actually has to trigger one more dialogue tree to activate the questline. Sprinting back to Domo Village, he heads straight for the NPC priestess who trains the mage class. He knows this secret quest is a one-time server event. The second someone clears it, it gets deleted from the code. Knowing he's on a ticking clock, he shoves the building door open, desperate to make sure nobody snipes his world-first clear. Inside, he spots the mage chilling in her private library, casually reading up on her spellbooks. The NPC notices the aggro entry and confronts him, pointing out he definitely doesn't look like a mage main. Suzumu checks his UI, remembering he needs to push this NPC's affection meter to level 7 to unlock the secret path. To his absolute horror, the system pings that she's mad about the break-in, and her affection just tanked to -2. Despite the terrible RNG dialogue start, he keeps a poker face, confident he can cheese the system. He searches his memory and remembers this trainer is tied to an annoying fetch quest that dumps massive affection points. He pulls a glowing purple flower from his inventory, telling her he grabbed it on the way here as a friendly gift. Playing the ultimate gentleman, he offers the drop and asks if she has any side quests he can grind for her. The polite dialogue choice plus the ultra-rare item totally resets the NPC's aggro script. Our MC knows full well this plant isn't just cosmetic, it's the legit calling card of the shady evil faction operating in the background. Rolling with it, he plays dirty, using his meta-knowledge that this exact trainer is secretly a double agent for that criminal guild. His massive brain play is to use the flower to trick the NPC into thinking he's a fellow faction member. Totally falling for it, the mage drops a quest, asking him to track down a rogue fire horse that glitched out of the academy. The quest log updates and our warrior hits accept with a massive grin. Back on the streets, he sprints toward the waypoint, completely focused on claiming the mount before the tryhards show up. Checking his strats, he celebrates that his route is flawless, and he knows exactly how to break the mount's AI. He remembers this is usually a massive raid event where entire guilds have to drain the mount's stamina, but only the player with the highest contribution score gets to keep it. Feeling super greedy, he plans to completely solo the raid and steal the epic mount right out from under them. He pulls up to the ranch zone, the classic spawn point where all the chaos with this boss goes down. Leaning on the fences, he gets hit with a wave of nostalgia seeing the old pasture assets again. Right on cue, the target mob spawns in, looking like a total nightmare with flames clipping through its dark coat. Seeing its massive aggro radius, he can't help but remember the absolute beatdown it handed him in his past life. Luckily, he spots a panicking farmer NPC, identifying him as the quest giver. Fully committed to claiming the mount, he runs up to trigger the dialogue, knowing this is the key to unlocking the Pandora dungeon. The NPC asks if he's the brave hero sent to tame the fire horse. Suzumu hits yes, dropping Elsa's name to skip the checks. Hyped, the guy says his timing is flawless and that the lobby is currently sitting at 8 players. Scanning the player models, he instantly recognizes 3 massive esports names from his past life. He figures their presence means the hardcore veterans are already min-maxing the zone. Panning the camera, he spots 2 more famous streamers in the group. Checking their clan tags, he confirms they are all elite tier raiders. He realizes that while he was busy farming the hidden tutorial, the pros caught up, and if he hadn't wasted time, he'd be way higher level right now. But he brushes it off, promising that since he's here now, none of them are getting a drop of this loot. One of the gamer girls toxiclaughs, saying with a default username like his, there's 0 chance he gets the Not even mad, Suzumu thinks it's hilarious, since they have absolutely no idea he's playing on a heavily smurfed account. After all, his fake gamertag completely hides his broken stats and his real-life identity. Cutting the trash talk short, the NPC yells at everyone to get in the ring and start the taming event. With the raid officially started, the peanut gallery watches the beast, checking the stats of the party members. One random viewer points out, totally confused, that 7 players formed parties, but the noob is running it completely solo. Betting against him, the chat spams that trying to solo a world boss is a guaranteed game over. The NPC guard captain pops up, asking if the lobby wants to place wagers on the outcome. The sudden betting minigame totally hypes up the spectators. The UI for the betting system pops up, displaying the odds and payout multipliers for each player. The captain explains the payout rules, setting the minimum buy-in at 1 coin. Analyzing the team comps, a random player bets on the mage's squad, claiming they have the most balanced DPS and aggro control. The chat goes wild, dumping gold on the pros, until someone slams 50 coins on the solo MC. The entire lobby loses their minds, asking what kind of absolute troll just threw their life savings away on the noob. Holding up a fat coin pouch, Suzumu casually reveals he just bet on himself. The crowd calls him a literal madman for going all in on an impossible raid. The warrior just shrugs, dropping the mic by saying nobody knows the drop rate until the boss HP hits 0. Approving the transaction, the captain locks in the high roller bet and makes it official. Super salty, the beast tamer main thinks the idiot is about to get a hardcore reality check. The healer agrees, complaining in voice chat that arrogant noobs are ruining the servers. Breaking the tension, our MC casually calls out that the boss has entered the chat. With a massive roar, the fire horse goes berserk and charges the group like a freight train. The mage's team initiates, popping their tank's taunt skill to grab aggro while the rogue tries to throw a blind debuff. The spectators cheer the crazy combo, claiming that kind of burst damage would instantly delete a normal mob. Watching from the sidelines, Suzumu sighs, knowing basic attacks won't even scratch this raid boss. Right on schedule, the boss completely ignores the stun, going sicko mode and launching the trio across the map with a heavy knockback. With their stamina drained, the squad violently ragdolls into the fence. The system spams 3 elimination notices, sending the crowd into total panic seeing top-tier pros get one shot. The MC knows a level 5 avatar simply cannot tank those frames, and the real reason the horse is glitching out is totally different. Using the chaos, the mercenary asks for cover fire so the tamer can pull off his combo. The support player casts a heavy mind control hex, trying to override the boss's AI. The spell registers, freezing the boss's animation loop for a split second. The mercenary dashes in, planning to root the mob before launching his DPS combo. With a massive jump boost, he lands perfectly on the beast's back. Sitting in the saddle, he feels like an absolute god, thinking anyone who attacks from the front is a total scrub. Watching the play, Suzumu gives them a solid 10 for creativity, but notes it's still not enough to break the mechanic. Snapping out of the stun, the horse bucks like crazy and instantly launches the mercenary into orbit. The mob does a 180 and lands a brutal air juggle kick on the player before he even hits the ground. The damage multiplier is so high that the system instantly announces the guy's HP hit 0 and boots him. The tamer starts screaming in voice chat begging the boss to chill, but gets completely run over and sent back to the lobby. Suzumu shakes his head, knowing this boss is immune to standard taming logic and requires a hidden puzzle solution. The crowd is sweating bullets, pointing out only 2 players are left and the raid is basically a wipe. Walking up calmly, the MC completely shoots down that toxic mindset. Flashing a cocky grin, he announces it's finally his turn on the control. Spotting the new target, the beast locks on with glowing red eyes and charges like an absolute maniac. The kid sidesteps the rush at the very last frame, whispering to the boss that he knows what's actually bugging its code. Totally locked in, he dashes forward, promising to delete the source of the glitch. Seeing the play, a guy in the stand screams that face-tanking a boss is a one-way ticket to the lobby. The crowd watches his rush in pure shock, convinced the kid is throwing the match. Doing a massive slide dodge, the chat assumes he's a goner, but our warrior knows this is the exact opening he needed. Exploiting the boss's recovery frames, Suzumu uses his momentum to vault perfectly onto the saddle. Gripping the mane, he promises to patch the animal's corrupted code. While holding on for dear life, he reaches for the horse's left ear, declaring that's where the glitch is located. He drops the lore, there's a toxic parasite in there, and extracting it is the real puzzle mechanic to unlock Pandora. He pulls the boar rib from his hotbar and gets ready to play Surge. Feeling the item, the boss rears up violently, trying to throw off the rider. The kid burns through his stamina bar just to stay seated, calling it the ultimate boss mechanic. Refusing to let go, he yanks the reins hard to force the animation to reset. With the mount flailing, he knows he's hit the QuickTime event window. He pulls out the vial of heated boar oil, bragging he prepped this exact consumable for this exact moment. Slathering the bone in oil, he jams the makeshift tool into the ear, telling the bug its free trial has expired. The strike gets a critical hit right on the parasite, and he cheers the perfect accuracy. As he rips the bug out, the horse lets out a massive sigh of relief, while the parasite's essence splatters everywhere. The second the debuff is cleared, the mount stops glitching and stands completely tamed. Hearing the dead silence from the lobby, Suzumu holds up the gross loot drop and asks the chat who exactly said he was going to wipe. The entire stand section is completely stunned, refusing to believe the random solo player just cleared the world event. With the W secured, Suzumu is surprised to see a hidden prompt pop up on his UI. The message confirms he defeated the hallucination bug and unlocked the secret quest lore. Super hyped, he realizes this drop was totally impossible to get in his last run, and his current build is one of a kind. He knew the bug was the key to the labyrinth, but didn't expect the devs to hand him the hints this easily. Overflowing with confidence, he promises to optimize his run and take the credit. But he snaps back to reality, knowing he can't sit around reading patch notes in the middle of a PvP zone. In his previous life, he remembers getting careless right here and getting ganked by 2 salty veterans. Right on cue, the shady priest player sneaks a damage-buffing curse onto his archer buddy. The guy whispers that the buff skyrockets DPS but nukes defense, telling his teammate to burst the kid down instantly. Knocking an arrow, the ranger scoffs, saying he's got this since the target is just a squishy level 5. With his bow drawn, he guarantees a noob can't outplay their dual Q. The spectators start freaking out, realizing these toxic players only queued up to grief whoever won the raid. A viewer calls out their dirty strat. Since the game gives the W to the last man standing, they plan to PK player kill the winner and steal the mount. Annoyed, Suzumu cringes remembering how he fell for this exact same camper strat and got sent back to the lobby. But his stats are different now, and he equips his enchanted blade to hand out some heavy car. With his weapon glowing, he announces he's ready and pops his perfect grip active skill. Knowing his base level is trash, he claims his actual mechanical skill is sitting in the top 500. The system confirms an insane stat boost for 3 minutes thanks to his flawless animation canceling. Utterly shook, the ranger watches his arrow get perfectly parried midair, refusing to accept the kid's crazy frame data. The peanut gallery loses their mind seeing a random low-level execute a Pro League parry they've only seen in trailer montages. Blown away, they spam the chat asking if this kid is some kind of esports prodigy smurfing in the starter zone. The young player mentally brags that this is just him warming up. Wait until level 60 when he unlocks the god-tier combo routes. Focusing back on the PvP, he announces it's time to take out the lobby's trash. Exploiting their massive end lag, he dashes in, promising to return their hit with maximum interest. Panicking, the ranger charges up an AoE fire skill trying to zone him out. Freaking out, the healer screams at his duo to just shoot, because the enemy is already in melee range. The archer tries to flick his shot, but his mouse hand is shaking so bad the aim goes completely wide. With buttersmooth movement, Suzumu rolls through the projectiles and lands a heavy critical strike, telling the guy to just log off. The massive damage deletes the ranger's HP, and the system logs his elimination. Watching his duo get one shot, the support player is totally frozen in fear. Pointing his glowing weapon, the warrior coldly informs the guy that it's his turn to catch these hands. He knows the guy's trash talk is useless now, since a healer's solo DPS is literally zero. Showing zero mercy, he dashes in and tags the healer right in the chest with a heavy finisher. The elimination banner pops up, and the crowd goes absolutely crazy watching a level 5 style on two veterans. Laughing it off, the guard captain officially declares the kid the winner, and confirms his payout just hit a massive multiplier. The guy sheathes his weapon while the massive gold drop gets auto-looted straight into his inventory. Standing in the center of the ring, the epic flaming mount waits for its new overpowered owner. Suzumu walks up to the beast like an old friend, giving it a pat and asking if its hitboxes are feeling better. The mob nudges him back, and the game officially locks him in as the mount's master. Riding out in style, he plots his next route to trigger the secret dialogue for Pandora's Labyrinth. Cruising on his horse, he remembers that hidden lore quests hand out exclusive loot that literally zero other players have. His master plan is to break the early game balance by securing the legendary Dark Element Divine Sword. In his old save file, he totally missed out on this drop, but he swears on his life that the edgy sword is going to be in his hotbar this time. A short ride later, he casually rolls up to Elsa's place. The NPC is totally blown away, while his UI pings that the quest is complete and his affection level just spiked. With his rep high enough, he decides it's time to drop the gross quest item and trigger the next phase. He holds out his hand and shows off the nasty bug, casually dropping that he pulled it from the mount's ear. The priestess' eyes go wide, totally shook as she recognizes the dangerous mob drop. The MC smirks, noting her panicked reaction is a one-to-one match with the Datamined forum posts. To trigger the next flag, he repeats the exact dialogue option from the wiki, asking for clearance to investigate the bug's origin. Back in the day, he raged so hard trying to unlock this tree, so he memorized the exact dialogue prompts to use. Masking her panic, the mage stares the player down, running a quick vibe check on him. Slipping into a super threatening tone, she asks if he's absolutely sure he wants to poke his nose into this high-level mystery. Switching to a troll smile, he claims his schedule is wide open, and he's already got a lead. The game finally serves up the Pandora quest prompt, and the kid hits accept, knowing this is the golden ticket to his divine weapon. Keeping up the roleplay, he smiles right back at the NPC, confirming he's locking in his choice without a second thought. Turning to leave, he promises to handle the heavy lifting with a smile on his face. The trainer watches the kid walk away, wishing him good luck with zero sincerity in her voice. Once alone, her villain's script kicks in, muttering that any player dumb enough to snoop deserves a game over in the maze. She rushes off to ping her guild leaders about the bug and prep their server takeover event. Walking away, Suzumu figures that running all the way to the out-of-bounds maze on foot would be a massive drag. To speed things up, he puts his fingers to his mouth and triggers the whistle emote to summon his ride. The fiery mount spawns in, and the warrior flexes his premium gear while riding through the zone. Random players are absolutely mouthing, super jealous seeing a low-level flex amount like that. Enjoying the salt, the kid mentally laughs at their rage, since this server doesn't even have a pay-to-win cash shop to buy it from. He hypes up the game design, loving that this world purely rewards big-brain strats and serious grinding. He quickly pulls up to the massive East Gate, the boundary line between the safe zone and the PvP wilds. The map is split into casual hubs and free-for-all zones, and his waypoint is smack in the middle of the lawless territory. In the casual zones, players just farm basic mobs, and the system actively disables friendly fire. But the free-for-all zone is packed with nightmare mobs and has zero PvP restrictions, meaning players can gank each other for fun. Suzumu knows the threat level out there is insane, but the loot table is way too good to pass up. The massive hook is that taking out an enemy player lets you completely wipe their inventory. On top of that, soloing the world bosses in the danger zone drops massive EXP multipliers and ultra-rare loot. Near the checkpoint, NPCs are actively blocking low levels from wandering out and ruining their accounts. Players are raging in the chat, complaining they need to go out to grind, but the game is gatekeeping them for having low gear scores. A random guy nearby tries to troll Suzumu, asking if he missed the patch notes saying noobs can't leave, and demands to know how he got the mount. The MC acts clueless, asking if the level lock is really a hard rule. Remembering an exploit from his past life, he opens his inventory and pulls out a massive bag of premium currency. Without hesitating, he walks up to the guards, slips them the gold, and demands they open the gate. The crowd panics, thinking bribing an NPC is an instant aggro trigger that'll get him one shot. Defying all game logic, the guards actually accept the bribe, absolutely stunned by the 100 copper coin payout. With the gates wide open, the kid rides through, totally hyped by how open-ended the game engine is. He realizes real-world hustling totally works here, and remembers exactly why he dropped all his cash on that bet earlier. Behind him, the casuals are losing their minds over the bribe exploit, super jealous of the guy's stacked wallet. Off-screen, the server admins are watching the logs and agree that the bribe mechanic was actually a massive brain play. Back on the map, the kid figures that trying to glitch past the guards would have ruined his speedrun, but now he has to watch out for griefers. Despite the heavy PvP risk, he cracks a confident grin, basically begging someone to try and gank him. While he's cruising, a duo of player killers are scoping him out from the stealth grass. The bandits check his level and figure a level 5 noob outside the safe zone is free real estate. Hyped for the loot pinata, they move in, bragging that farming players is way faster than doing actual quests. Confident in his stealth build, one assassin jumps out, thinking the kid walked right into their trap. As they surround the horse, they get a rude awakening when they realize the kid was just baiting them the whole time. Staring them down, Suzumu mocks them, saying all it took was some loud hoofbeats to pull the server's trash. Pumped for some PvP, the warrior promises to send both of these griefers straight back to the spawn point. Glaring back, the bandit asks if he's getting cocky just because of a level gap, doubting the kid can clutch a 1 vs 2. Chilling with his sword on his shoulder, Suzumu fires back, telling them to press their buttons and find out. He hops off his mount, commanding his epic pet to stay on standby. Unsheathing his blade, he plans to speedrun this PvP encounter so he can get back to his main quest. The masked assassin readies his dual daggers, promising to show him the real gap in their gear scores. His buddy pulls his weapon next, asking if the noob missed the memo that the rogue class is the ultimate PvP meta. Locked in, the masked guy calls for a sync double-team attack, and his partner gives the thumbs up. The warrior scans the incoming duo, fully aware of the rogue's busted mobility and rapid burst damage. He pops his fire enchantment, totally confident he can melt these guys using his overleveled skill tree. Seeing the massive glowing particle effects, the masked guy completely panics, demanding to know what kind of broken hack that is. The big guy is also shook, having zero clue how a base warrior class unlocked elemental damage. Using the confusion, the assassin tells his buddy to engage first and bait out the kid's cooldowns. The partner spams his movement ability, bragging that no sluggish warrior can dodge a rogue's dash attack. Mid-animation, he trash talks that it's literally impossible for a slow class to outplay his frame data. But his ego gets instantly checked when his ultimate attack completely whiffs the hitbox. The strike lands, but the MC just catches the blade barehanded, totally disrespecting the guy's stats. Not even flinching, the young player drops the fact that a weak poke like that deals exactly 0 damage. Staring at the perfect block, the big bandit goes into full panic mode, realizing he messed up his combo. Taking his turn, Suzumu queues up his counterattack, stating that logging these guys out doesn't even require using a macro. With a merciless swing, he lands a devastating magic critical hit right on the enemy's chest armor. The system pops the elimination banner and awards him 10 fame points for the PvP win. Without dropping his combo, he points his sword at the masked guy, telling him to stop camping and fight. To tilt him further, he asks if the party leader is somehow even more garbage than his teammate. Completely mouthing, the assassin starts raging in voice chat while popping his buffs to avenge his duo. The bandit charges in, screaming that he's level 6 and won't take the L, while the MC just locks onto his neck hitbox, aiming for the one shot. The second the dagger enters his zone, the warrior inputs a frame-perfect parry, completely redirecting the attack. The game engine confirms the perfect block, handing our guy a massive speed buff. Running the numbers, he decides relying on a neck crit is unnecessary RNG and just counters the thrust. Riding the speed buff, Suzumu teleports right behind the guy, whispering that the match is already over. The assassin's eyes go wide, completely terrified as he feels the heavy aggro right behind his back. With absolutely 0 defensive cooldowns left, the MC lands a brutal backstab on the griefer. Watching his HP drain, the bandit curses his lag, complaining it's literally impossible to dodge that animation. The warrior coldly drops some tech knowledge. He didn't even dodge, he just abused his passive speed multiplier, reminding him that whiffed hits equals 0 DPS. He pulls his blade out while the enemy's avatar shatters into code. The game announces the double kill and unlocks the exclusive Guardian title for hitting the fame milestone. Skimming the patch notes for the title, he hypes up the stat boosts, confirming that bounty hunting player killers is the ultimate grinding strat. Playing it safe, he toggles the title to hidden and walks over to the glowing loot drops. He remembers the hardcore rule. Players with red karma drop their entire inventory when they wipe, so he checks the stolen potions and weapons. Sitting right in the middle of their trash loot, a glowing vintage scroll catches his eye. Picking it up, the system chimes, confirming he just looted a mystery map that looks super familiar. Scanning the UI, the kid cracks a massive smile, realizing he just snagged an ultra-rare treasure map. Despite the insane RNG drop, he decides to stick to the Pandora questline and summons his mount to hit the road. The flaming horse spawns instantly, while the kid checks his bag space and sees he's completely maxed out. Back in the saddle, he just dumps the stolen garbage daggers in the dirt, admitting he doesn't even need the copper right now. Inventory sorted, he pulls the reins, super hyped, and hits the sprint button to resume the speedrun. Cruising through the zone, he's practically vibrating with hype, telling Pandora's labyrinth to get ready for him. The game syncs his inventory data, confirming his loadout is perfectly optimized for the raid. Right on the horizon, a massive stone dungeon renders in, complete with an edgy dark knight guarding the entrance. The kid hits the brakes on his mount, confirming he finally reached the coordinates. Walking up on foot, he recalls that top-tier divine swords are literally the lowest drop rate items in the entire game. The thought of equipping gear he never even got to touch in his past life gives him massive gamer chills. He locks his camera on the guard chilling on the steps, knowing this mini-boss is the first DPS check. Detecting the aggro, the knight wakes up, his helmet flashing with an intimidating red glow. The guard stands up, leaning on his massive polearm, and uses his heavy voice filter to ask if the player is trying to enter the cursed zone. Staring down the absolute unit, the MC confirms his quest objective and asks what the entry requirements are. Pointing his spear, the undead guard declares that the only way through the door is a hardcore PvP deathmatch. Suzumu locks into his combat stance, reminding himself he absolutely cannot throw against the village's legendary NPC. He remembers the deep lore videos about this exact warrior, a guy who solo wiped 300 enemy players back in the day. 50 in-game years ago, the king gave him the quest to guard this door, and he locked in the objective without asking questions. Since then, he never went AFK, keeping his rotting avatar online purely through insane willpower. Seeing the glowing red eyes, the kid gives major props to the unbreakable loyalty keeping the guy logged in for decades. He pops his fire buff, arguing that staying online with a corrupted save file is just torture. Gripping his controller tight, he readies up for the ultimate showdown against the server legend. Paying his respects, the young gamer promises to delete the knight's corrupted data and set him free. The boss compliments the kid's aggro, but makes it clear he has zero plans to hand out a free pass. With a massive sweeping animation, the guard throws a heavy attack, announcing the zone is still restricted. Suzumu gets his sword up on the exact frame and parries the massive hit, kicking up a crazy dust effect. Tanking the heavy poise damage, the kid smiles like a maniac, telling the boss to keep spamming his heavy attacks. Spotting a gap in the combo, he animation cancels into a rapid 3-hit light attack string. Even with the solid hits, he gets pushed back, giving the boss props for having frame-perfect tech despite his outdated model. Realizing he needs to blow his ultimate cooldowns, he dumps a massive amount of MP into his weapon. Spinning up his character model, he releases the charge, firing off a gigantic wave of fire directly at the boss. The massive hitbox connects, violently pushing the Guardian back and leaving a trail in the dirt texture. Holding his pose while the boss's super armor regens, the kid admits the boss mechanics are actually super fun. Showing true gamer respect, the knight stands tall, officially tagging the kid as a high-tier opponent. Because of that, the undead guard announces he's taking the kid seriously and dropping his handicaps. With a blindingly fast animation, the knight enters phase 2. Suzumu remembers this specific attack pattern was legendary on the community forums in his past life. This god-tier ultimate completely wiped thousands of players, even with the boss being totally nerfed by his rotting model. The skill was so broken, it basically gatekept the casuals from ever entering the dungeon. The attack's damage scaling is directly tied to the user's willpower stat. The absolute screen wiper is known in the patch notes as Burning Soul. With a massive roar, the boss unleashes the unblockable ultimate right at our guy. Hyped beyond belief, the MC decides to face tank the legendary skill that ruined so many speedruns. He dashes forward, screaming at the boss to dump his entire MP bar into the attack. The kid fires off his own ultimate, perfectly timing his burst. The massive collision triggers a server-lagging explosion across the arena. When the frames settle, the warrior is shocked to see the boss actually armor-tanked his rush. The insane knockback sends the kid violently skidding backward. Wiping his HP bar's scratch damage, he gives major respect to the broken scaling of a legendary skill. Totally fired up, Suzumu confirms that this is the real deal, top-tier damage output. The heavily armored boss locks back into his idle defense stance. The kid yells that this exact mechanic is what makes the boss a raid worth clearing. But the knight warns that his aggro won't drop, telling the player to just hit the surrender button. Showing rare NPC mercy, the boss offers to spare his avatar if he just fast travels away right now. Refusing the out, the young player swears his HP isn't 0 yet, and he only plays to beat the top-ranked bosses. The undead warrior challenges him to try again, claiming his AI has already downloaded the kid's entire move list. Calling his bluff, the MC decides to stop sandbagging and toggles on his Supreme Swordsman hidden class. An exclusive passive procs, dumping a massive game-breaking multiplier onto his weapon stats. The boss instantly registers the stat change, noting the kid's aura just became absurdly toxic. Actually enjoying the challenge, the boss feels his own combat scripts overclocking. With the real Phase 3 starting, Suzumu blitzes the Guardian with max movement speed. He shouts that he doesn't break promises and his hype meter is completely maxed out. Swearing to end the boss's buggy loop, the kid lands an absolutely critical strike. Reading the kid's hardcore determination, the veteran's code flashes back to his own prime gaming days. The absolute love for the grind reignites in the old soldier's programming. That pure hype completely maxes out the stats in his worn-out avatar. In that fraction of a second, his zombie model actually remembers what it means to be a top-tier main. He recognizes that the player rushing him has that exact same try-hard energy. Going all in with zero regard for his save file, the knight throws his heaviest attack yet. The absolute nuke of a hit creates a massive crater, proving the veteran's damage cap is real. The recoil is so intense it forces the boss's model to slide across the ground. On the other side, our MC is also pushed back, fighting the game physics to keep his balance. Suzumu decides to finish the raid by completely mimicking the boss's legendary art and readies his blade. Taking the bait, the undead boss raises his heavy weapon for the final clash. Staring intensely at his monitor, the young gamer declares it's time to roll the credits. He goes all out, firing off his own heavily modified, busted version of Burning Soul. The knight answers by dumping his absolute last drop of MP into his own unmatched ultimate. The two god-tier hitboxes collide head-on in an insanely flashy frame battle. The overlapping ultimates trigger a visual glitch explosion that completely levels the arena. The thick smoke particles slowly despawn across the wrecked map. Panting in front of his screen, the kid celebrates the clutch W after barely surviving the blast radius. The knight's character model turns to ash, and he drops a voice line thanking the player for clearing his day. The veteran states that thanks to the kid's skills, he can finally log off like a champion. Suzumu watches the despawn animation, saying it was just a standard carry for a real gamer. The system pings that the kid maxed out his affection with the boss, triggering a hidden reward drop. The guy gets totally confused, realizing he just accidentally triggered a secret RNG event. A glowing spellbook hovers in the air, giving him the prompt to permanently learn the legendary skill. The MC's jaw drops at the absolute god-tier rarity of this loot. Chugging a health pot, he celebrates, realizing absolutely nobody on the forums ever unlocked this tip. Right after, his EXP bar skyrockets, instantly leveling the warrior up to level 6. Pumped, he tells the boss's fading data that he's taking his moveset to the global leaderboards. With the raid door open, he stands at the entrance and double-checks that his hidden class tag is toggled off. The second he steps into the creepy hallway, the secret investigation quest officially updates. Checking his minimap, he knows he has to clear the lobby mobs first and double-checks his armor durability. Flashing a wicked smile, our guy gets ready to start the ultimate farming session. A massive squad of nightmare goblins is blocking the main corridor. The mobs trigger their aggro animations, totally ready to gank the solo player. Laughing at the weak spawn wave, the warrior buffs his blade and rushes the group. He absolutely deletes the mobs with zero effort, shouting a quick thanks for the free EXP drops. Riding the high, he promises he's going to hit the level cap in record time with drops like this. A few minutes later, he's standing on a mountain of despawning loot, confirming the entrance zone was tutorial level easy. But he knows the scaling gets totally toxic the closer you get to the boss room, which is the classic rage quit point. Good thing he already memorized the optimal speedrun route to bypass all the trap triggers. Moving with pixel-perfect precision, he abuses his meta-knowledge to completely cheese the puzzle sections. After stepping on the final pressure plate, he jokes that using a guide isn't cheating if it's stored in your brain. The game flashes a zone-cleared banner as he walks into the insanely detailed core room. Chilling on her throne, the dungeon owner looks totally surprised that a casual actually survived the maze. The kid scans the witch Pandora, admitting the community wasn't lying when they said her character model was top tier. Totally ignoring her high-raised design, he points his sword and tells the corrupted mage to skip the cutscene and fight. Laughing at the disrespect, the witch compliments the kid's avatar, asking if that's the dialogue option he chooses for a pretty girl. Refusing to simp, Suzumu hits back, saying she might have been top tier 50 patches ago, but now she's just an ugly mob. The toxic trash talk hits a critical spot, instantly wiping her chill vibe and replacing it with full aggro. Reciting the lore, he reveals the server's real past event was a raid to permaban her in this maze. He drops the facts, reminding her she got kicked out of the hub town for abusing game-breaking dark magic. Instead of denying it, Pandora triggers her sinister villain laugh emote. Acting super arrogant, she gives the kid props for having the game sense to make it to her boss room. She phase shifts into her terrifying demon form, asking what kind of loot would be appropriate for such a nosy player. With a twisted grin, she suggests a game over screen filled with absolute despair sounds like the perfect drop. Right on cue, the massive dark divine sword spawns in, glowing with a heavily corrupted particle effect. The system flashes a giant warning that a level 10 world boss just entered the chat. Pure nightmare fuel for a starter build. Locked onto his goal, the MC instantly spots the legendary weapon in her hand. Totally hyped, he dashes in, celebrating that the exact item he needs is just sitting there waiting to be looted. The witch perfectly parries the rush, laughing at the idea of a basic human trying to ninja loot her legendary item. With a heavy countershove, the boss demands the noob check his stat sheet and realize he's way under. The insane force of the parry throws the warrior backward, ignoring his super armor. Skidding across the room, he confirms that this crazy knockback is exactly what you get from a high-tier raid boss. Totally impressed, he admits her base damage output is actually terrifying. Checking his character model, Pandora realizes his player cam shows absolutely zero signs of panic. Deciding to fix that, she leaps at him with an aggressive animation, promising to show him the real meaning of a horror game. Suzumu blocks the heavy hit, realizing the boss's massive character model gives her a totally unfair reach advantage. Finding a gap in his guard, the witch uses her tail to snap off a hyperfast sneak attack. The hitbox tags the kid's arm, sending his only equipped weapon flying across the arena. Showing zero mercy, the boss fires off a lethal swipe, mocking the kid for having more trash talk than actual DPS. The MC tanks the unblockable hit straight to the chest, his character shouting as he's launched into the wall. The brutal wall splat kicks up a massive cloud of dust and debris over the entire arena. Already claiming the W, the witch announces it's a wrap for the greedy speedrunner. But the warrior's HP doesn't hit zero, and he confidently states the raid is far from over. Staring her down with intense focus, he promises the encounter won't end until she gets a taste of his real ultimate. The monster literally bursts out laughing, treating it like a joke that an unarmed noob thinks he can solo her with just a scabbard. Popping his perfect control passive, the kid charges up his energy, stating that one single hit is all he needs. The second her AI registers the legendary skill's aura, the villain's expression glitches into absolute pure panic. Totally desperate, she rushes him, knowing she has to interrupt his cast time or she's getting deleted. Completely locked in, Suzumu casually drops that it's way too late for her to cancel the animation. With that, he unleashes a screen-clearing blast of energy that absolutely obliterates everything in its path. Dumping all his stored aggro into the strike, the young hero bets his entire playthrough on that single, ultimate finishing move.